I have everybody asking me, Blake, it's been a long off season, but I have one question. Should I drink the Kool-Aid or not? And the Kool-Aid being that this LSU football team might do what everyone thinks they can do. That expectation is simple for Brian Kelly, Garrett Nussmeier, and company. Can you get to 10 wins in the regular season? Can you make a playoff? And for some of those expectations, can you just win a couple of games in the playoff and potentially play for a national title? Now, today we were out at practice, and we are going to break that practice down in its entirety. But there's a couple of things that I want to start off with here. The biggest thing that I have seen, and I tweeted this, and I told you today that I might be a little bit of a prisoner of the moment. Now, a lot of you have come in these practice reviews and practice reports and said to me, Blake is way too negative. Last year I was way too negative. LSU went 8-4. 2 years ago, I was way too negative. Defense couldn't stop a bloody nose with a tampon. And, well, they were 108th in the country. Today, in the press conference with Brian Kelly, I asked him one question. Why has there been more intensity? Because in 4 years, there hasn't been this level of intensity. For me, in some of the things that I am seeing up front, whether it be this defensive line versus this offensive line, whether it be the edge unit or Blake Baker and the amount of pressure that's going on, or like today in the pressure that was all around Garrett Nussmeier, him standing tall and sitting up in the pocket and quite honestly delivering some dimes. Because for me in 2022, you had a situation where a lot of people didn't know, as Brian Kelly said, if they were going to start or not. So competition breeded intensity. But in 2023 and in 2024, as we talked about in those practice reports, for me, and I can only speak for myself, guys, the intensity wasn't there because you went 108th and you had a lot of guys in 2023 that weren't ready to play here. You fired an entire defensive staff in 2023 because of how bad things were going. No, in 2023, the intensity wasn't there defensively. It came from everything that you were doing offensively. When Malik and Jaden and Brian Thomas Jr. and Will Campbell and Emory Jones, that was the level of intensity because of how good we expected them to be, and quite honestly, they were. Now, last year, you had a lot to replace too. Defensively, you had to go a lot in the portal. Offensively, you had to go a lot in the portal. And you went 8-4. But in that fall camp, for me, and again, I can only speak for myself. For me, I was in a place where, if you remember a lot of times last year, I didn't know if offensively you were ready. And in my humble opinion, offensively running the football, quite honestly, you weren't. You were also 108th in the country in rushing. I sit here and look at all of this and say, for me, in the week plus, there are some serious battles happening up front. This offensive line that struggled in week 1 of camp. Today, I got 5 offensive linemen going through pass pro and individual drills, not losing a rep. I have a defense sending all the level of pressure that they can, and this offensive line holding up. Garrett Nussmeier stepping up in the pocket and being strong and delivering strikes downfield. I see the offensive line and defensive line absolutely battling guys at more of an elite level that we've ever seen. So I asked Brian Kelly today about the intensity up front, because for me, it's the biggest that it's ever been. Now, I asked Brian Kelly this question, which we're going to play here in just a moment, and I want you to wait until the end, because it's not necessarily, or I am not necessarily, the only person that sees it. Let's hear to what Brian Kelly had to say about the intensity level of this fall camp through week 1.
Yeah, I think intensity is, first of all, a mindset, and having the right guys that bring that intensity certainly helps. Then how do you create that, right? I think through recruiting, you create that intensity as well, and competition. So if you add all of those things together, look at the offensive line. You've got 5 guys competing for spots. So there is that piece where it brings out an intensity. I think you're looking at guys that are physically and mentally developed through the program that bring that every single day, that mindset. And I say this on both sides of the ball. So when you're stirring it, right, you're stirring the drink and you put all the ingredients in there, sometimes you really got to work hard at getting that intensity, and sometimes you just add water. This group is much more about just adding water. They have those traits, and they have that situation where there's so much competition. We haven't had that competition, quite frankly. They're the starter. It's hard to bring that intensity every day. So I would add those factors into why what you're seeing is actual and true.
That's LSU head coach Brian Kelly. If you listen to the end, he said, that's why I think it's actual and true. I don't know if the level of intensity that you are bringing every single day is going to win you the game week 1 versus Clemson, because there's a lot that goes into this. But I will tell you that I have not seen a safety in 3 years, or 2 years really, named A.J. Halsey that will come down on a slant route and absolutely obliterate somebody and jar the ball loose because they're not scared of contact. What I have not seen from Garrett is, I'm going to be big here and I'm going to step up in this pocket and I'm going to deliver a dime on 3rd down to get a 1st down. What I have not seen is constantly there being a defensive lineman in the backfield that's just completely disrupting things. What I haven't seen is a wide receiver room that has no idea who's going to be the starter. I have a DB room who, quite honestly, outside of Mansour Delane, truth be told, nobody believes or knows or understands where they really sit because of the rotation being as high as it's been. The competition has bred a level of intensity that, guys, I'm just going to be real with you, I have not seen since 22. I have not seen it since the 2022 season. We've seen flashes of it. We've seen an offense do it. We've seen a couple of players do it here and there sporadically. I'm telling you, okay, I don't know if that's going to make you to go over to our good friends over at FanDuel and place you a little bet of LSU winning the SEC. But I will tell you this. If you want to take the plus 700 for LSU to win the SEC, you want to sprinkle some little pizza money on it, I wouldn't blame you. Intensity doesn't lead to wins. But when you compete at that high of a level every single day, there's one thing that I know. Number one, you will get better. And number two, I know you're giving me every single thing that you got, and I can live with it. It's when you're running away from tackles in the open field because the quarterback's 240 pounds and you don't want to hit him that I can't live with, which we saw LSU defensively do a season ago. Business decisions were made. Today I got a safety who goes, I don't give two Rudy Poos. I'm coming down and knocking your head off. Today up front, you almost had a couple of scrums. You had a couple of guys getting chatty and pushing a lot of things going. It was number 13 that broke it up. Hey, don't do this. We got to get better. We got shit we got to do. You fighting does nothing. He's right. When I look at what is happening up front, guys, it's 2022. For me, it's 2022. Under Brian Kelly is why I bring it up. Give me every single thing that you got. I will buy into that every single time. Doesn't lean to win. Still can go 9-3. Still could have issues. Might not be able to run the football. We'll talk about that tonight in our practice report. We'll also get the players standing out at the end. Observations and opinions. Oh, and by the way, in those players, Bruce Feldman's got Chris Hilton clocking 23.747 miles per hour, or as an equivalent to a 40, a 4.2. So we'll see. All right, let's get to a couple comments. Looks like we have a couple of super chats that are in here. Brandon Richardson with a $5 super chat says, "I've loved what I'm hearing. Can all aspects come together this year? Coaching, talent, and total effort." Brandon, I think that's a great way to form the question. I think it's a great way to form the question. I think you got more talent defensively, and really and truthfully, you've had 3 years under Brian Kelly. In year one, with your best defense, you won the SEC West and went 9-3. Now, you can't go 9-3 and make the playoff now, and we all understand that. Or maybe you could, depending on if some crazy shit happens. Maybe you could. But you also get to a place where I sit at this and look at it from its realistic nature and say to myself, one thing is simple. Guys, the last 2 years defensively, you hadn't looked like this. I'm sorry, you haven't. You have not. Does that translate onto the football field? I have no clue. What we are seeing at practice going to translate? I have no clue. I have zero clue. The one thing that I know that is going to translate is, guys, if they're going to give it all out there, what makes you think that they're not going to give it all out on the game field? It's the practice field where 9 times out of 10, the guys aren't going to give you everything that they have. So we'll see. Tyler Townsend says, "Let's go," from the 31831 great. You know, Tyler, a lot of people are asking where these hats are coming from. Might need to get some more. Might need to get some more of them. That's all I'm saying. Tick says, "Hey, Blake." See, Tick was pushing that we're going to be live at 7. He's got to listen into it. Tick, I hope that we answered your questions. I hope we answered your questions there on some of the things you're looking at. But we'll get to football and the practice here. Vance says, "Hearing that the O-line is doing well in individual drills against D-line, just need to gel as a unit. Is that what you're saying?" No, I think today was their best. I think today was the best showing, even in spring, that we've seen of this team and the offensive line. They've had one day of winning. They've had one section of winning, okay? The other 4 days, they didn't win. This is being in day 5. They didn't win. They got beat up. What does it have to do with gelling in an individual one-on-one drill? It's what – see, I see the fan base saying, well, this O-line's got to gel. Guys, when you're doing one-on-one pass, bro, that's got nothing to do with around you other than you and the man across from you. There's no gelling. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's no like, oh, man, we got to come together and gel as a team. No, you're one-on-one, and you were getting beat. Now, today, we'll go through this practice report. The 5 reps that start with the offensive line, they won all of them, literally. They won all of them, and good on them. I didn't see what happened before that. So, again, there's a lot. Look, y'all make the decision for yourself. Is what happens out at practice actually what's going to translate on the field? You make that determination for yourself. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you my opinions on the matter, but there's nothing to do with gelling in reference to a zone blocking scheme, right? Like, you're not gaining a yard. Bernard Gooden's getting in the backfield before Caleb Jackson today could get the ball. So there is no gelling on that. That is a guy right in front of him getting absolutely whooped. And that's what Bernard Gooden has done, and quite honestly, it's why he's going to be one of the players that we mentioned here tonight. All right. Yes, where is everybody watching from? Where is everybody watching from? Speaking of that 4-2 from Chris Hilton, I see this from David. So in reference to Chris Hilton, he had some stuff today, but can we keep Chris Hilton healthy? Will be the big deal. All right, every show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Go over to FanDuel. I told you about the odds earlier. LSU to win the SEC is plus 700. Maybe at the end of all these practice reports, you go over to FanDuel and place that bet of LSU plus 700. to win the SEC. Go over to FanDuel today, your number one sports book in the great state of Louisiana and in all of the U.S. You must be 21 years or older to go to FanDuel unless you're in the selective states of Kentucky, West Virginia, or you're in D.C. You must be present in those selected states. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER, or go visit their website over at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com/RG today if you need that assistance. All right, everybody does us a favor. You hit the like and share to all those groups, to all those social media pages. Watching us, listening on YouTube, you hit the like and subscribe button and that notification bell. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, what happened at practice? Day 5 for LSU. We talk about that next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
All right. Let's get to it here. Any super chats, Mr. Brandon, in the super chat or in the chat? No? Okay. Okay. Matt does say New Mexico's in the building. The 601 via the 601. Good to have everybody in here. Hit the like and share if you don't mind. Let's get to it here. But LSU Fall Camp Day 5 is under wraps, and we were there today. Now, Brian Kelly did not let us out for the first half of practice, but arguably did let us come out there for the most juicy part of practice, because the first thing that we saw when we got out there today was 7-on-7 and offensive versus defensive lines in one-on-one pass drill. Now, I want to make this really well known. Some of these in the beginning are not specifically in order when I talk about this. Garrett went for 1 rep and then came out and then came back in later in the period. When I'm talking about this, we're going to talk about all the things that Garrett did first in the top of the period, that are the bottom of the period. That way we're talking about the first unit and we can break all of this down. So is it in chronological order? No, not necessarily, because Michael Van Buren and that second unit would be first up in most regards. But let's talk about your first unit, 7-on-7, ones versus ones. An in route to start it off for Garrett Nussmeier to Kyle Parker for 14 yards. Now, yesterday, I thought it was interesting that the 4 guys that Brian Kelly, when they were asked, or he was asked, when they went to the local food bank to help them with the goods and things and moving food and getting them on the trucks and things like that, was he brought up Bernard Gooden, Braylon Moore, and he brought up Kyle Parker as someone that's standing out to him in fall camp. Now, because you're trying to get looks at Nick Anderson, you're trying to get looks at Chris Hilton, Barryon Brown, what's going on with Aaron Anderson, Xavion Thomas. I do think some of these other guys like Destin Hill, like like Francis, and especially Kyle Parker, per Brian Kelly, is really getting overlooked. What I would say today is that Kyle Parker had a pretty solid day, and it was something to really notice after Brian Kelly, unwillingly about himself, talked about Kyle Parker being the guy that, hey, man, there's so many other wide receivers, but you know what? Kyle Parker's going to get some reps here if he keeps putting some days together like he has. First route from Garrett Nussmeier was an in route to Parker for 14. Split the safeties. I mean, just perfectly placed football, perfectly paced, where Kyle Parker, where he sat on the in route, if he kept going, Garrett probably would have threw it behind him, could have been picked. Deshaun Spears was right behind Kyle Parker in the zone. And I think that it was just perfectly placed. Really good call. I don't know if the defense really did anything bad. Couldn't really tell. Didn't look like the linebackers got enough depth for an in route, but nevertheless, Kyle Parker on an in route for 14. Very next play is Garrett Nussmeier on a post to Chris Hilton that was overthrown in the back of the end zone, Mansour Delane in coverage. What's interesting about every time that we see Chris Hilton and what we hear from the defense, it happened again today. Mansour Delane is on Chris Hilton, and right before the snap starts, he is bailing out. He is running back. He looks like he's in man-to-man press coverage. He bails and he starts screaming, he's going deep. He's going deep. Post route. Now, either it's because he knows the play and he's screaming out to the safety that it's a post, or right when Chris breaks, and I couldn't tell if Chris started to break on the post route or if it was he just knew the play. That I couldn't tell. Regardless of all of that, Mansour Delane is screaming to Deshaun Spears, who started at safety today, post. As soon as that communication happens, you see Deshaun Spears absolutely bail from his current location and get to where he thinks Chris Hilton is going to be. It's great coverage. Kind of glad a little that Garrett overthrew it. Hey, look, I'm going to throw this thing down there. If anybody can go and get it, it'll be Chris Hilton, but I can't throw it short enough to get it to where Deshaun Spears or Mansour Delane can knock the ball down, or at worst, intercept the football. Post route, Mansour Delane was in really good coverage with Chris Hilton, and so was Deshaun Spears. Was not completed, but absolutely great coverage by those two. Bauer Sharp, then on the third play from Garrett Nussmeier in the ones, gets a pass thrown to him in the flat. Harold Perkins breaks a block from Treyez Green, and he's all over it for a tackle of no gain. That was the first time we saw Harold Perkins. And I want to stop here and make something very, very well known. If you love Harold Perkins, you better put your goggles on, because here it comes. This is the start of Harold Perkins going absolutely dumb today. Now, we're going to talk about in a minute, and especially when we get to players that stand out. Do you want to go back through this Harold Perkins situation of, man, what is he really going to be? That question is up to you. For me, I will let you make that decision. There comes a point in time where if a guy's going to go out there and make plays every single day, you got to talk about it. But the first play that Harold Perkins made where he gets off the block of Trey'Dez Green and he tackles Bauer Sharp in the flat for no gain. Nussmeier then has to check down on a quick hitch to Destin Hill. Looked like Destin kind of got pushed a little bit. Nevertheless, it doesn't really matter. Both Weeks brothers are there for the tackle. Everybody was covered deep. Deshaun Spears, I thought on the check down that they ran a little quick hitch in the inside with Destin Hill. You looked like you had a post route, an out route. You had a little waggle or a deep drag. In all of that, it appeared to me that, and you had the quick hitch. It appeared to me that Garrett was trying to get the ball to Barrion Brown. As soon as Deshaun Spears again saw that number 6 was running a post route on Ashton Stamps, which, by the way, fantastic coverage, you got to a situation where Garrett's like, there's nothing open. I got to check this ball down. You have back-to-back plays with 2 very fast receivers. You have a post route to Chris Hilton that gets thrown, and it's incomplete where you have really good coverage. Then you have a couple of other deep routes and a deep drag route that if it's an in route or whatever Carl Parker was running, that they did not cover on the first overall play. But you have a check down by Garrett to Destin Hill, and both linebackers are there to make the play. In that, I would say, look, there were times in the spring where I thought that when Barrion or Chris Hilton got deep, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to get beat deep for me because it just kept happening over and over. Now, if the ball wasn't completed, it was completed. Regardless, they were getting beat by a step by some of these receivers on those 2 plays. It doesn't happen. Ashton Stamps, for what it's worth as of right now, we have not called Ashton Stamps' name a lot this camp. The reason we are not calling Ashton Stamps' name is because, quite honestly, they can't get the receiver the football. And the couple of pair of times in camp that we have a back shoulder throw fade route to Nick Anderson where Ashton Stamps gets his head turned and knocks the ball away along the sideline. The other couple of times that we bring up Ashton Stamps in some of these situations is because he's given up a couple of quick hitches and making a tackle. There really hadn't been action at number 1. Can Ashton Stamps, now going into year 3, who's seen a shitload of reps, a crap load of reps, can we be in a situation here where he finally steps up and does the things that he needs to do? You got 2 of the fast, if not the fastest, wide receivers in this conference on your team. And you have a couple of back-to-back plays, it just doesn't work out. And they can't, this DB room can't get beat deep because of a really, really good free safety play, in my opinion, by Deshaun Spears. Again, you didn't see that a year ago. We'll see. A lot of one high safety. A lot. Especially with Halsey in the building. A lot. If you're going deep, number 10's got to make a decision. If everybody's going deep, he's going to patrol the middle of the field and pray to God he can get his hips turned quick enough and the DBs hold on long enough that you can legitimately get there fast enough. We'll see. But a lot of single high coverage that we've seen. Nuss over the middle. I could not tell who he was trying to get the ball to, but on the very next play, from his star position, Harold Perkins has an interception on the opposite side of what we saw 2 years ago against Missouri. Remember when Perk goes up, makes an unbelievable interception, comes down with it. Reverse that image on the other side of the field, and it's exactly what happened to Garrett Nussmeier today on the in route that he is trying to throw. Brian Kelly today at the press conference stated that he was asked a question about Harold Perkins. He goes, man, instinctually, he kind of knows this star role. I think he has been come back very healthy. I mean, listen, guys, he's just over here making plays. I think Brian Kelly's not singling out Perk because he understands the expectations and he wants those expectations for him to die down. Hey, 7, you're a hell of an athlete. You're a freak of an athlete. Go out there and make plays. Today, he did bait Garrett. Bauer Sharp goes on an out route. And Perk knew that he wasn't throwing that out route. He took a couple of steps out and then came sprinting back in before Garrett even had a time to really process that he was going to be there. He goes up, makes a freakish play, and the interception occurs. Guys, it's just another example of Harold Perkins going off. So you have him earlier in 7-on-7 in ones versus ones, breaking a block or getting away from Trey'Dez Green and tackling Bauer Sharp at the line of scrimmage. Literally 3 plays later, you have him baiting Garrett Nussmeier per your head coach. Hey, look, he baited Garrett on that one. He got him. He baited him. One really talented quarterback versus a really talented defensive player. You think Ray Lewis ever baited quarterbacks? Ed Reed at safety? I mean, come on. Great players just have high-level instincts. And then he picks the ball off. Guys, to be real with you, number 7 on tight ends has been really good. He's been really, really good. This tight end room, when Perk has been around them, hasn't really gotten anything going. Not in pass pro. Now, Blake, how much are they trying to get to him? All these different things, I'm there. Trey'Dez Green today made some freakish plays. None of them came when he was on the end line at tight end. None of them. They all come out wide when he's flexed out, or they come out when he's as a big slot. None of them are coming when Harold Perkins is on the man. It's not happening. Either one of them, really, for that matter. So Harold Perkins with a big pick on Garrett Nussmeier and just went stupid. Now, there was some very friendly banter that I want to point out. There were some explicit throws in a joking way that you would see at a football camp. Hey, Perk, yada, 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 yada. Perk saying, okay, wait until team period. Garrett and him are joking. But in that banter, Perk runs up to Garrett and hands him the football. In that banter, you saw 2 elite dudes come together as a team and acknowledge what just happened. If you don't believe the other 120 people that are standing around that practice, if not more, didn't notice what just happened, by the way, they did from a media perspective because all of y'all were talking about it. We were walking up and down the sideline saying, hey, and I'm telling some people, $50 says that Harold Perkins is the first thing that comes out of people's mouth today after that pick. Newsflash, it was, myself included. But I thought it was a little bit interesting there, but you got Perk coming away with the pick. Nick Anderson on 3rd and 6 with an out route on Mansour Delane for 7 yards and a toe-tipping grab along the sidelines. Ball was out of bounds. He catches it. He's kind of leaning out, falls down, gets the first down. Really good catch by Nick Anderson. Again, first real action, true action we're seeing of Nick Anderson, big-bodied 6'4" wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Last 2 practices, he's been in there. First time we've seen him against the ones. Really. Mansour Delane was in coverage, and when you got a first down. So in these 7-on-7s, they just make up downs, make up like it was first down, then it was 4th down and 2, then it was a whole bunch of different stuff. But on this specific one, it's 3rd and 6, an out route. Nick Anderson goes for 7, that coming from Garrett Nussmeier. Some jawing was going on from Mansour and Anderson about him pushing off. Because, of course, DBs and wide receivers, when you give up a pass, don't argue about a guy pushing off. Did he push off? Probably a little. But if you're going to give him the push off, Mansour Delane was like tackling him before the ball got there. So tit for tat, if you will. But a really good play and really good catch by Nick Anderson. Really throwing ball, considering Perk was back in coverage. Don't want 2 picks in a row, but a really good throw. Thomas on a rail route. So they go trips right. And in the trips right, you have a post rail. So a post is the outside receiver's running a post. The outside receiver is running a rail. So make the safety choose. Is the safety going to go with the rail? Is the safety going to go with the post? Let them choose. Make some confusion and get some guys tied up to get that rail to the sidelines. Xavier Thomas, who's been very active this camp, number 0 with Aaron Anderson out, has been very, very active. Will he be very active in the season? I don't know. Aaron Anderson is out. And I would assume that when the season is here, that obviously Aaron Anderson is going to be your slot receiver. One thing about Aaron Anderson, before we get to what happened on the rail route, he had a play sheet, didn't it, Aaron Anderson, today? A play sheet. And was standing next to Cortez Hankton on every play. So, couple of things here. Aaron, we're going to give you a couple days off. Brian Kelly told me to tell you, you're going to get one of these coaches' play sheets, and you're going to stand by me the whole practice. And it happened. It also happened on Saturday, too. Not saying that he needs mental reps, because I don't think he needs mental reps. But listen, we're kind of putting number 1 in bubble wrap right now and hoping, look, got some knee tendonitis. I've had my knee drained. I've had a couple of ACL issues. I've had it drained. Guys, you know, I know, everybody knows that when you've had your – guys, I've had my knee drained, literally walked out the next day, didn't really do anything for a couple of days, and was back to full health a couple of days later, if not before, not more than that. He's fine. He's completely fine. Unless it's something worse, which Brian Kelly said it's not, so I'm going to believe him. They're putting him in bubble wrap. Anyway, thought that was interesting. The rail route by Thomas is picked up and swapped off on. So Mansour Delane was in the slot. What I've noticed is when Perkins is coming out and they're going to a more dime package with a couple of more corners in, well, really 4 corners in, and a couple of safeties, or a safety, or one of the safeties just walks down, whatever they're doing. Mansour Delane for the second straight day in certain situations, not all the time when they go to these bigger corner formations and they bring some different guys in for coverage and Perkins comes off. It's not been every time that Delane is going into that slot. However, they've done it a couple of times. When they run the post rail, Ashton Stamps and Mansour Delane are on the same side for whatever that's worth. And they swap off personnel. They swap off guys when they run the post rail. So Mansour Delane, Ashton Stamps, you have the post rail, Mansour gets the post, Ashton Stamps stayed with the rail. I got a DB in Ashton Stamps that has his head turned and a ball is thrown, and there is nowhere to place this because the coverage is really good. It's really good. And you got a PBU by Ashton Stamps. Every time they've gone to him, nothing real big has happened in what I've seen. Think Brian Kelly addressing that today. Question asked about Mansour Delane. And in the question, a question today at the press conference to Brian Kelly was about Mansour Delane. He instantly quickly changes and goes, you know what? It's really been Ashton Stamps that ain't nobody completing nothing on. It's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. I want to talk about this post rail for just a real quick addition. I got twice Mansour Delane communicated at an elite level and the secondary working. That is bigger than anything that I've seen. Because you have in the beginning of 7-on-7 and at the end of this 1v1 7-on-7, you have number 4 communicating at a high level and it benefiting you. screaming at Deshaun Spears earlier on the post route run by Chris Hilton, if you remember that we talked about. And then you got a post rail by Xavier Thomas where you got a switch on it. And all of a sudden you got a PBU by Ashton Stamps. Communication will be key. Really, really love what I see there. Last on the 1v1s, you have an out route by Nick Anderson on Ashton Stamps for 7 yards. Ashton looks like he's in cover 3. He bails. The out route is thrown. He's still in cover 3. He comes up and makes the play. I mean, good on it that they got one, but that was the end of it. I thought in 7-on-7 with not allowing Barry on, not allowing Chris, not allowing Sharp, not allowing Anderson or Thomas to get anything going, you got a check down, you got an in route for 4 yards, and Nick Anderson on an out route on 3rd down. Other than that, guys, in the other 7 plays that you run here, you're 0 for 7, and what I would dictate as a winning offensive play. I do think coverage was really, really good, but I do think that there were some freakish plays made, like the Nick Anderson on 3rd down. I mean, you got Perk making a ridiculous play, and you just got some really good communication on the back end where I think that they win it. Quickly on the second unit, Michael Van Buren hits a check down to Xavier Thomas, an in route to Nick Anderson on Jordan Gilbert for 16. They were putting Nick Anderson in the slot on a big safety, and quite honestly, today, from a physical standpoint, Nick Anderson made a really, really, really good break on Jordan Gilbert, runs an in route, can't catch up to him. I put for 16 yards. It could have been a lot more. So that's the 2s. Nick Anderson rotating in there as well. Tradez Green on the on the far right slot runs a corner route that goes up for 17, where he makes a one-toe grab along the sideline. The ball was overthrown by Michael Van Buren. Tradez Green made an absolutely ridiculous play. Guys, up close and personal, I mean this. I mean it. I've never been that close to a guy that can jump that high. It was ridiculous. So much so, the entire practice stopped. So you got Tradez Green on the end as a big slot. He runs a corner, or maybe what was an inside fade route. Couldn't really tell. But he goes up on Jordan Gilbert. It would have been on You Got Mossed. Me and Michael Cobble of WBRZ are standing literally a foot away from the toe being in bounds. Referees call it in. Tradez Green with an absolutely ridiculous catch on a throw that was overthrown by Michael Van Buren. Sometimes you throw it up there and say, Tradez Green's out there somewhere. Who gives a shit? And throw it up. He'll get there. The very next play, I don't really know with the second, third team on some of these where really Colin Hurley was going here. But 16 comes in for Michael Van Buren. He overthrows an in route, and Deshaun Spears is inches away from coming up with an interception. It looked like it was covered. He's trying to hit an in route. You're in 7-on-7. I get it. Make the throw, see if something crazy would happen. Colin Hurley then throws a fade route down the far right sideline to Barry and Brown. P.J. Woodland's all over it. It falls incomplete. P.J. Woodland, in some of these instances, the other corner that has been coming out on the field when Mansour Delane goes in that slot, what I think is very interesting right now, it is not DJ Pickett. It is not Jakeem Jackson. It's not any of these other guys that are new freshmen coming in or a transfer. It's been P.J. Woodland. And if you can go stride for stride with Barryon Brown and a ball not be complete on Barryon Brown, if you're P.J. Woodland, very good. Gets his head turned on Barryon Brown in the end zone, bats the ball up and out of bounds for an incompletion. Pickett also got a PBU on Colin Hurley to end it. A slant route, a hitch route for Tyron Francis falls incomplete. So you got two freshmen going big there. That was the end of 7-on-7. And that, for me, I just think defense won it. I mean, we ran through everything that we saw. And again, for me, I think that they won 7-on-7. The offense would get their a little bit of their revenge in 11-on-11 in just a minute. Offense and defensive line, one-on-one pass pro. So I am paying attention to 7-on-7. I will acknowledge, I'm sure there's some other guys that have other practice reports. Everybody does a great job out there. I did not personally see the first rendition with the 1v1s versus our offense and defensive line and pass pro. The only pass pro thing that I saw was the last first rendition. So again, don't know what the second rendition of that. I don't know what happened in the first go around. So I'm sure there's some others that did. I would acknowledge, go look at those. I don't know. All starters along the offensive line at when 7-on-7 was over, the first unit was still going on the offense and defensive lines. The offensive line is what it was every single day. It has not changed. Tyree Adams, the only change was Paul Mabenga would come in at left guard during team. DJ Chester was at left guard. In some of these, the left guard took 2 reps. DJ Chester took a rep. Paul Mabenga comes in. Paul Mabenga takes a rep. Neither one of them on a bull rush by Don McKinley lost those reps. They won, both of them. So I have Adams beating Patrick Payton. I have Don McKinley losing 2 reps to Mabenga and Chester. I have Ahmad Bro on Braylon Moore not winning a rep. Actually, a beautiful thing of footwork by your new center in Braylon Moore. Doesn't give up a sack to Ahmad Bro. I have at right guard Josh Thompson on Bernard Gooden, who Josh Thompson's like enough is enough. He slung him down when he tried to do a rip move and got him down to the ground. So he wins the rep. And then last but not least, I got Davis on Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn and Jamari Butler. So 3 reps. In those reps, I guess you could give Patrick Payton a sack. I guess maybe. I don't know. But if you're talking about Pyburn and Butler, I am giving it to Weston Davis on those 2. So really good pass pro from what I saw. Again, did not see the first rendition as we're watching 7-on-7. All right, so LSU would take a quick break. They would come back in team period, 11-on-11, ones versus ones would take place. The very first play from scrimmage was a screen route to Barryon Brown. Trips right, and you have Barryon Brown in the slot. You have Nick Anderson out there along with Xavier Thomas. A quick screen to Barryon Brown is almost absolutely exploded as Patrick Payton comes roaring up the edge and tips the ball, and it's still caught. How Barryon Brown and how there was enough zip on this ball from Nuss is beyond me. How it was completed is beyond me. But how loud the tip sounded is beyond me, and him still completing it. A little bit of a wobble, I guess, but Patrick Payton almost disrupted the screen. Barryon Brown does catch it, tries to make something out of it, goes for 5 yards. The next play is another screen. So very simple. Today, one thing LSU tried to do was just get the ball out of Garrett Nussmeier's hands early to get some of this defensive pressure off. Listen, you can rush all you want to. These first 2 plays, you can come right at us. But one thing we're going to know is we're going to get this ball out fast. You got one that almost got blown up by Patrick Payton, and then one to Trey'Dez Green that is dropped right through his hands. Beautiful pass by Garrett. Got to come down with it. He does have to jump, does Trey'Dez Green a little bit to get it. Just goes right through his hands. Lack of focus, was trying to run before he secured the football. But 2 screens, nothing really happening there. Nuss was under some relentless pressure on the screen, and I don't think that really he should have been. Bernard Gooden had a swim move in the interior where Nuss is just going through his follow-through on a quick screen, and he almost gets blasted. I mean, he delivered. He delivered there. So you got 2 screens that don't really do anything. Thomas out. Xavier Thomas in the slot runs an out route, a deep out route at that. In this play, this third play from scrimmage, Garrett Nussmeier is sitting back in the pocket, and pressure is all around him. All around him. It was so bad that I looked at Wilson and I'm like, oh, he's sacked. Garrett Nussmeier made one of the best plays that he has done all camp. Pressure all around him. He steps up into the pocket. You have a linebacker, one of the Weeks brothers, coming down that's going to hit him, and he steps up in the pocket, makes a hell of a throw, and a hell of a catch by Xavier Thomas along the sidelines, and you get a first down. Because it was relentless pressure. O-line did not give Garrett enough time to just sit back in the pocket and deliver a nice football. The good thing that I learned, that I loved about this, had nothing to do with the out route, had nothing to do with the pass rush. I mean, I guess you could say pass rush. Literally, you have 2 defensive linemen in the interior. On the outside of Garrett, you have 2 defensive ends that are crashing down on him. He steps up in the pocket, gets his feet set, throws or strike to Xavier Thomas. Beautiful. Beautiful throw. And he's going to take a hit by Weeks. You got a first down. And I thought it was one of the better plays of a guy that at times would bail a little bit too early a season ago, that stood firm, got up in the pocket, and made the throw. Because, I mean, it's what you want to see from a guy in a second-year starter. Listen, all right, pressure outside. Let's climb up this pocket and make a throw. Then Wilson Alexander from the Advocate and I go, no. Good on Garrett to step up in the pocket there and make the throw. So I just chalked that down and put a big star next to Garrett right there. Thought he made a really good throw under immense pressure. Good for him, man. Very, very good for him. Really, really good play. Next play from the pistol. A zone run left by Caleb Jackson. Bernard Gooden comes from the backside of the defensive line, hits a swim move in the A-gap on the opposite side, and gets to Caleb Jackson as soon as he's getting the football. Bernard Gooden once or twice and sometimes 3 times a day in these team periods, 1s versus 1s, another star. Because it's inevitable right now that 88's going to make a play. Guys, he is quick off the ball, man. I think that Blake Baker, for what it's worth, wants defensive linemen, and especially in the interior, to just cause havoc. Go make plays. Stay in your gap, but if you can stay in your gap and go make some plays, go in the backfield and make plays. Please, dear Lord. Completely opposite of what Matt House wanted to do. Play is blown dead as Caleb Jackson's literally getting the handoff. 88's a problem, man. He's been a problem all 5 days. I hope that he has a massive season. I don't know if that means that he's going to do some really good things. Is Josh Thompson just getting beat? Or is the offensive line not gelling? I don't know. The only thing I know is every day Bernard Gooden's getting in the backfield on these rundowns and making plays. That's all I know. I'm going to let you hear these plays and hear everything going. You make your own determination. I got 2 practices and 4 tackles for loss for 88. On Saturday, I have a sack by 88 from the interior on Josh Thompson. So Again, what do you make of it is clearly up to you, and you can do whatever you want with that knowledge. But good Lord. Good Lord. I mean, he just continues to make plays, and I'm sure that's why Brian Kelly put him on that list of, man, this dude's just standing out. It's why he was number one for Brian Kelly, too. A rollout to the right. So let me back up. Very next play, 12 personnel for LSU. You got two tight ends. You have Trey'Dez Green on the line of scrimmage, and you have Bauer Sharp right behind him. You have on the far left hash is where the ball is placed. You have a rollout right to Bauer Sharp. So you have two wide receivers, you have your running back, and you have both tight ends. You're literally running a little bit of a kind of a screen, I guess, to Bauer Sharp in the flat. There's some play action with Caden Durham, and then you're rolling right to get to the screen. Harold Perkins blew up the entire play. Harold Perkins is the only defender on the end line of scrimmage, and he beats the block of Trey'Dez Green, and as soon as Bauer Sharp made the catch from Garrett on the rollout, he's there and makes the play. There goes number 7 again. Really beautiful play. I mean, Trey'Dez has got to stay on the block. I just don't know how easy it is to run down Harold Perkins. Like you're asking Trey'Dez Green to run down Harold Perkins and make a block on a screen. Okay? I mean, like, oh, man, Blake, Trey'Dez can't get to Harold Perkins. Shit, guys, probably 95% of the SEC can't get to him. 99% of tight ends in this league isn't faster than Harold Perkins. So, I mean, we can down Trey'Dez Green, but Harold made a ridiculous play on Bauer Sharp, and he beats a block from Trey'Dez Green, and off to the races we go. So a really good play by Harold Perkins. On the next one, an overthrow over the middle. So Garrett is in the shotgun, an in route to Nick Anderson, and the ball is tipped in the air by Whit Weeks. If the ball's not tipped in the air, it's picked by Deshaun Spears. It would have been close because Deshaun Spears is right behind the in route. That if the ball's overthrown, it's going for 6. One thing I would say is Whit just made a ridiculous play, jumped up, tipped it up, incomplete. The thing I would say there is Garrett had enough time to get the ball down the field. There have been a lot of times in these practices where he's just not had enough time. He did have enough time there, a little bit of an overthrow, and it's incomplete. But I do think Spears would have gotten a pick there too because he's right there to make the play. Very next play, Caden Durham in the inside zone run. Goes for 14 yards with a massive hole provided by new left guard, Paul Mabanga, getting to the second level. Durham has not touched until he gets 14 yards. Jordan Gilbert on the stop. Arguably best run that since the media has been out there that you have had. So good inside zone run. Looks like it's out of the shotgun from where we could tell. Regardless of it, it's a massive run made by right behind Paul Mabanga. Gets to the second level and off to the races does Caden Durham. Remember Caden Durham in just a moment. I think Caden Durham looks fully healthy. There was a thing on Twitter today of Caden Durham and some of the explosive plays that he had a season ago. In those explosive plays, go look at the beginning of the season, the end of the season. You tell me if Caden doesn't get a little slower at the end of the year. I think he does, and I think he's had a lot of burst on some of these runs. He used that on the 14-yard run. You go for a first down. Next play, Perkins is in the star roll and blitzes off the edge. He is picked up by Caden Durham, and he hits a dip and rip move, and Garrett Nussmeier is sacked by Harold Perkins. Again, just another play of here comes number 7. We talked about this all offseason with him going to star. Either you're going to have to shade an offensive lineman to Perk and know that he's coming, or you're going to have to use tight ends and running backs to block Harold Perkins on the edge. Guys, it's a mismatch. I'm sorry, it's a mismatch. Blake Baker loves sending that slot big safety role all the time. If teams motion away from Harold Perkins, he's coming on a blitz to run the play down. I mean, guys, this is his second sack of camp that I've noticed, and they've just been sending number 7 off the edge at an alarming rate. Having number 7 and Harold Perkins and having Gabe Relaford and having Patrick Payton, with them coming after the quarterback from the same side, this entire camp has not been stopped. On Saturday, Gabe Relaford had a sack at the end of the practice on Garrett Nussmeier. Perkins was on a slot blitz there too. Today, Patrick Payton's over there, and here comes Harold Perkins. He blows up the play the block from Caden Durham, and Nuss is sacked. Nuss did throw the football. I rewarded it a sack, but an out route by Xavion Thomas, what looked like an out route from Xavion Thomas, is completed for 11 yards. Perk is there. I mean, he slows up, but Garrett does make the throw. So determination of your own, just what I saw. But Perkins, again, making plays. You have a couple of tackles at the line of scrimmage that he's getting for no gain. You have the interception, and now you have a sack from that star position. So remember that in just a minute. Trey'Dez Green on the outside runs a fade route on Jordan Gilbert. Another absolutely ridiculous play. Almost like the same play that Trey'Dez Green had earlier in 7-on-7. Really good protection for Garrett Nussmeier all around. Blitz is coming, and it's all picked up. And a fade route to Trey'Dez Green on the outside where he mosses Jordan Gilbert and gets a foot down. Again, me and Cobbler standing right there. Ask him if you want. Ridiculous catch by Trey'Dez Green. Gets up, spins the ball on the ground, and practice goes nuts. 14 is a freak of nature out in space. He's a freak. Don't know how I feel about him on the end line of scrimmage. Let Bauer Sharp be there. Let 14 be the guy that catches the ball and runs. Stop trying. If Bauer Sharp is the guy that can block on the end line of scrimmage better than 14, then get him there. And if number 14 is better at catching and running the football and making freakish plays, well, then throw him the ball. There they did. Absolutely ridiculous play. Absolutely ridiculous play. To end it with the first unit and the first action of the day that we got to see from Chris Hilton. He's lined up on DJ Pickett, and he runs a fade route. What happens when Chris Hilton is healthy and you run man-to-man coverage and him running a fade route? What normally happens to everybody on planet Earth? What happens? DJ Pickett, God bless him. A couple steps behind Chris Hilton. Chris Hilton catches the fade route for 35 yards and steps out of bounds. Should have been 6. So, really good protection for Garrett Nussmeier on that one. I thought at the end of practice here, you saw a lot better protection for Garrett. Absolute dime to Chris Hilton for 35. Had enough time sending the heat on number 13 too. So, listen, we'll get to this more in observations and opinions, which we'll get to next after the break here. But all in all, man, a high-intensity, really good back-and-forth day, really. I do think the defense won most of this, and I would give an edge to, but you have an offense that's climbing in there and making some ridiculous plays. The way that they ended practice, I mean, you got freaks of nature. We're going to protect Garrett. We're going to throw the ball down the field, and we're going to see if you can stop it. They didn't. Not at the end there. The only thing I would say for the second team and team period, was you had a screen that went for no gain. Caleb Jackson inside run for no gain. Don McKinley blew the guard up into the backfield. There comes that 700-pound squat strength. Blew the play wide open. Literally, Caleb Jackson's getting the ball and is literally has nowhere to go. He's getting blown up, and Don McKinley's there for a tackle for loss. You had a fade to Barryon Brown as well with the second unit. Here comes this name again. Deshaun Spears and P.J. Woodland. Ball is overthrown by Michael Van Buren, and nothing's happening there. Xavier Thomas on a slant. Oh, I need to go through this a little bit more. Okay. Second unit, nothing happened offensively. Zilch, nada. Thomas had a screen, went for no gain. Deshaun Spears there for a tackle. Fade route, him and Woodland in coverage. Caleb Jackson blown up by Don McKinley. Michael Van Buren overthrew the ball on an in route. I have absolutely, and I put this in my practice notes, I have no idea where he was going with the football. Zero, zilch, nada. None. The second to last play in the practice, there was a slant route run by Xavier Thomas. And he ran the slant on A.J. Halsey. In case you've been in a coma and you hadn't been here, A.J. Halsey is the safety transfer from Houston. I don't think people need to run slant routes across the middle on A.J. Halsey. Xavier Thomas is going to wake up tomorrow and feel the hit that number 13 delivered. A.J. Halsey can hit. Now, on Saturday or Friday, I think Brian Kelly said, LSU is going to be tackling. So maybe we will see if some of the things that A.J. Halsey has done in the run game, we will see if those take that next step and he's actually making those tackles. However, he lit up Xavier Thomas today and jarred the ball loose. I feel bad for Xavier Thomas. A hospital ball was thrown over the middle, and he cleaned his clock. He caught the ball, he got obliterated, and the ball got jarred loose. He got obliterated. I hate to say that about Xavier. That's not on him. It's a bad throw, really, by Van Buren. You can't do that. It's a hospital ball when you're throwing over the middle against 13. A couple times now, man. A.J. Halsey, somebody's come across that middle, and he's cleaned their clocks. So, I don't know, man. This kid can play a little bit. I hope we see more of him as we've seen Deshaun Spears. But Xavier Thomas got lit up there. All right. That is the practice report. P. Scott, I do see your super chat here. We're going to get to a break. I'm going to read that super chat on the other side here. So let me get to a quick break. I come back, give you observations and opinions on what we saw today. Again, this is a one practice sample size. So let's get to all of that. We'll come back and give those opinions and observations and players that are standing out. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. I think the button was hit a little too soon. But P. Scott in the chat with a super chat, wrong one, says below with a $5 super chat, praying for the health of the team for fall camp. By the way, Brian Kelly talked about this yesterday. I went back and kind of looked and kind of Googled some of the names not Googled, but did a Twitter search for some of these names. He was actually correct. LSU had 5 guys out with soft tissue injuries. He didn't classify Aaron Anderson in that. But so far, you've been clean. I do hope that we stay clean and there's no injuries. Did not see Tamarcus Cooley out there today. Maybe he was in there and I just didn't see him. I did not see number 0 today. But she also says that we got to keep 13/18, Garrett Nussmeier, clean. Agreed. And you know what? That's where we'll actually start, P. Scott. These are in no specific order, but let's start there. The offensive line. Much better day for the offensive line. I thought at the end of practice on Saturday, when you had that level of pressure and sacks by Gabe Relaford, Patrick Payton, Harold Perkins, etc., it just didn't end the way you wanted it to end. Today, there were some throws there at the end where the offensive line gave Garrett enough time to deliver football. Was a run in there by Caden Durham that bursted one out for 14 yards. Can you find more of those? Can you get more of those? Now, you have some with Bernard Gooding getting in the backfield and Caleb Jackson. You don't really know and can't get a rep with Caleb Jackson because Bernard Gooding's in the backfield so much. That's neither here nor there. Pass pro from what we saw, didn't lose a rep from what I saw. Again, didn't see the first time that they went through it, only the second. Bottom line in all of that, guys, based off of where things did go and the pressure that they sent and that did not get home at the end of this one-on-one period with the 11-on-11 period with the number ones, Garrett had some time to throw. Can you keep 13/18 healthy will be a big deal. The biggest observation and opinion is that just got to monitor him every day. Do you see some flashes? Do you see a good run here and there? Is Bernard Gooden picked up for crying out loud? Do you make some good runs? You've had some spurts. You've had some spurts of some really long runs, but it's either really been it's been a run here or there, okay, where you've broken off for 14 or you're not getting anything at all. There hasn't been like you're running the football and you're getting 3 or 4 yards. It's been either Bernard Gooden's killing you, Don McKinley's killing you, or you're bursting one out for 14 yards and then the safety comes down, which, by the way, who knows if the safety's even going to tackle Caden Durham there and he doesn't go for 7. I don't know. But nevertheless, they did a lot better today. One thing I'll say about the offensive line, Paul Mabinga did get first-team reps at left guard. In the second unit, DJ Chester moved into center. When LSU went back and reversed fields, Paul Mabinga was out, DJ Chester was in. They're giving everybody a shot here. Giving everybody a shot. So, Braylon Moore is going to be your center, per Brian Kelly. We feel comfortable with him there, and I agree with him. I think Braylon Moore's done some really good things. Snaps have been good. I don't think Braylon Moore's done anything necessarily to denigrate him losing that job. So I do think that you have your center. But a much better day for the offensive line. I thought Garrett Nussmeier, the second observation and opinion that I have here is I thought that there were some instances on some of these throws today that the Garrett Nussmeier that we saw a year ago would have easily bailed out of the pocket. Would have been like, hey, man, screw this shit. I'm not, no. I'm going to go try to make a play. I'm getting out of the pocket. Today, there were multiple times when he was under pressure where, quite honestly, he just stood up in that pocket and climbed up in that pocket and made a really good throw. Hey, man, you want to rush me from the outside? I'm going to stand up. If you're going to come from the left side at a heavy rate, I'm going to take a couple of steps to the right, make the throw. If you hit me, you hit me. If you don't, you don't. Good for you. And I thought he looked clean. I thought he looked confident. Now, again today, a lot of things did not go his way until late. Got a couple of deep throws to Trey'Dez Green and Chris Hilton that looked really good. We take all of these in a sample size, right? We take every single practice in a one-game sample size, and then we can have a segment of things and players and people that are standing out as a collective. But when you're taking these one practice reports in for what they are, you got to do just that, right? You got to find a way to take in all of this information and say, well, what are we really learning? I thought Garrett looked confident today. It wasn't, for what it's worth, that Garrett wasn't getting or having guys all around him. There was even a time today where the left guard got pushed back into Garrett and he got hit. Let me go back to the throw. On the slant route, no. On the in route where he overshot one and the Whitweek's tip from today, he did get hit. Not on purpose, but you have a lot of big human beings barreling down on your quarterback. He gets popped, and he took a little lick. Harold Perkins was the first one there to pick him up too, by the way. I wish I had film of that. And they're jawing back and forth. Good team leadership shit. He got popped. Did not stop him climbing that pocket, delivering, and still taking a hit. Because he even did today. It's not intentional. I know Brian Kelly lost his godforsaken mind. It's going to happen. You got a quarterback climbing in the pocket and human beings are going as fast as they can, shit's going to happen. Good for Garrett. Get a little lick in. Ain't going to hurt nothing. But I thought he looked confident. He's trying not to bail so much and get up in that pocket and make a good throw. Thought it was I thought that there were a lot of times, if you watch the end of the Ole Miss game and some of the things that he did at the end, that was pretty much what we saw a lot today. I think you translate what you at the end of the game in the fourth quarter versus Ole Miss, the climbing up in the pocket like what he did, and both times when he hit Mason Taylor and then when he hit Aaron Anderson. Both times he is confident, he is standing in there, and he's rifling the ball down the field. You know, all of that does get set up because guys aren't just going all after him because they know that he'll actually run. Garrett's going to have to run one of these. I liked how he stood up in the pocket and was confident and made the throws that he needed to make. It was another observation. Going to number 3 here, I just think 29, Caden Durham looks fully healthy. Guys, you can turn on the film from the end of the season last year, and I highly suggest you to go look at the game like versus South Carolina and tell me that Caden Durham had the same amount of burst in the beginning of the season that he did at the end of the year. I don't think he did. I think he does right now. I think he's healthy, and he looks healthy. I think 29 needs to get the ball out of the backfield and you throwing it to him. I think that of any run that you've had so far that's been worth a damn has come on the back of number 29. And, I don't know if, like every time Caleb Jackson gets the ball, Bernard Gooden's in his face tackling him in the backfield. So that's another observation. I do think 29 is fully healthy, and can he explode in his second year will be a big question. Defense won the day to me. I've already talked about this. Won't spend long on it. I thought the offense looked a lot less clunky. I thought they did some good things today. Still think they won. And I thought the physicality intensity was there. If you're just joining the show, go listen to the opening segment and opening rant. For me, guys, they're out there busting their ever-living ass. I think that they're doing some really high-level stuff in the line of scrimmage. And, guys, I got to be real with you. I think you are really talented along your defensive line, and it's only making your offensive line better. Defense won the day, but in the tools that is getting sharpened along this offensive line, guys, your defensive line wasn't doing this shit a year ago. I get you had Emory Jones. I get you had Will Campbell. But, guys, that interior offensive line, I don't know if was better than a season ago, if I'm being real with you. I mean, Miles Frazier and Garrett Dellinger and DJ had some issues. In all of that, the intensity up front for this team has been pretty insane. I'm going to skip Harold Perkins because I'm going to turn right around and talk about players that are standing out, and he's going to be in there. 7's all over the field. I don't know how you don't walk away from the first 5 days and not talk about number 7. I think that I think for me, nobody wants to get in the point of, oh, man, Harold Perkins is all over the place. And then you get out there and you have a season and things don't go his way, right? You don't want to see that happen again. But, guys, right now he's all over the field. So we'll see. Safety play, I think, is another big thing that stands out to me. Guys, you're just better with Deshaun Spears and A.J. Halsey on the field. They are better than what you had a season ago. I am fully convinced. I don't need any more practice to tell me that. I don't need any more camp to tell me that. I mean, I never saw Sage Ryan on a post route be in the right place where he needed to be. I've never seen it. I don't even know if Major Burns can run that far to knock a post down. So that is inevitable. That is inevitable for me. All right. Couple players standing out. We're a week in, 5 practices in. The 3 guys that stand out to me the most. Bernard Gooden, the defensive tackle transfer from South Florida. Gus, I didn't know, if I'm being honest with you, I did not know what to expect from Bernard Gooden. When you're telling me that you're bringing in a defensive tackle that's 6 foot 260, I have my questions. I don't think Bernard Gooden is taking on any double teams. And I don't think that you're asking him to do that. Guys, he is as disruptive as anybody on that defense. Actually, if practice stopped today, the question that I would have is, who's going to be the other defensive tackle besides Bernard Gooden? I mean, and even if he doesn't start, how quickly is 88 getting on the field? And God forbid you don't play him because he's just making so many plays. If Josh Thompson's your right guard and you think if we think what we're going to get from him is an all Big Ten performance, guys, Josh Thompson was the first team right tackle last season at Northwestern. I mean, do the Big Ten edges suck? Do their defensive line suck? I don't think they suck. 88's all over the place. I just don't know how else you can slice it or dice it. He's making plays. He's getting sacks. He's coming off a season at South Florida where he had 10 tackles for loss. You've seen him go up against an SEC team before, Bama, and be all over the place and be disruptive. He is doing that right now. Nobody has stood out more than number 88. That is for sure. Number 2, Harold Perkins. Guys, he's got multiple sacks. He's got multiple tackles for loss. He's got multiple tackles at the line of scrimmage on tight ends. Don't know what else you want from him. I know the thought about Harold Perkins 5 days into fall camp is, look, man, last year he tore his ACL, didn't record any sacks, even though for me, that South Carolina game, he was as disruptive as anybody on that defense. And quite honestly, forced an interception and forced a fumble for you to get back in that game. Oh, well, Blake, he didn't have a sack. Who gives a flying shit if you're still getting the quarterback to turn the ball over? For me, so I think Harold Perkins is just standing out. I know you're in a camp, and I know you're in a place where you don't want to be like, oh, man, it's the fourth year. What is number 7 going to do? I'm there with you. I understand it. I get it. But how do you ignore him making all these plays? How do you ignore it? What do you do there? Because either he just knows this offense so well and he's just playing against it, or you're going to see a guy like you saw in 23. He moves that star role and he does some really good things. And if Blake Baker's going to send him on blitzes as much as he has been, good on it. Good on it. I think number 3 for me, and the final thing here, is Braylon Moore, the center from Virginia Tech. 2 transfers and Harold Perkins. Because he's just – I think that of all the offensive linemen, he's looked the cleanest. He hasn't been getting pushed back into the pocket. He's been firm. Some of these situations where Nuss today is needing to step up in the pocket, I think Braylon Moore has provided that good pocket for him, getting to one of the defensive tackles and pushing them out and making a pocket where Garrett can step up, and he's done it a lot. He's done it a lot. So we'll see. We'll see. But those are the 3 guys that stand out to me. Hold on one second. Joel, come here. Daddy's still on the show, so you gotta be quiet. Ugh. All right. What do you want to say? For everyone in the audience, this is my daughter, Jewel. Say hello. Hey. Hey. Say hey. What's your name? Baby Jewel. Oh. Got that cough. You need to get your hands out your mouth. You need to get your hands out. Get your hands out your mouth, silly goose. All right. You want to wrap up the show, Baby Jewel? All right. Tell them bye. I do think that that's my cue to leave. So, LSU practice report, day 5. We'll be back out there again tomorrow, and we'll see you then. So, until then, y'all have a blessed night. I think my daddy duties are calling here. Till tomorrow. We'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a great one. Peace.